I thought our team showed a ton of grit after the last two games and playing on a back-to-back. Loved the spirit of the team. I think you saw the bench, the reactions, the way they're celebrating each other. That's not a small thing while you're trying to build the foundation of a group. So many guys, I feel like, played well and had big moments. In general, I thought the bench played great and really responded after the last two games. I thought we got really good minutes from Walt. I thought he had probably his best game as a pro. I thought Flip was, Kevin just said it in the locker room to the team, Flip was probably the X factor for our team tonight, made some really big plays. I thought EJ's energy continues to be infectious every time he takes the floor, competes hard on the ball, and really stirs up our group on that end of the floor. Keonte is continuing to grow on both sides of the ball. This is obviously a big game for him on the road in a back-to-back. In the first half, we really couldn't create much of an advantage, and Keonte in the second half responded and really put a lot of pressure on the rim playing downhill. And then Nurk, huge play at the end. His rebounding has been steady for us all year. His physicality, at the end there, we got the ball and decided obviously not to call a timeout, didn't want them to get organized defensively or make any subs. I knew the group that was on the court for us was going to be the group we were going to go with anyway. Keonte did a good job getting a shot off, and then Nurk obviously cleaned it up. But it's a great team win for us. That's who we have to be. We're going to have to win ugly. We're going to have to win close. We're going to have a lot of people have moments in a game for us to win. And I want the guys to enjoy this. The last two games have been hard. We've had two pockets, or one pocket in each of the last two games that's let the game get away from us. And I thought we really just stayed in the fight all night tonight. And the guys got rewarded in the end.
What makes Elijah so good at drawing offensive fouls?
Man, I don't know if I want to say that out loud. He really puts pressure on the screener to stop short. Does a good job with his inside leg, trying to get through. And because he's usually going so hard, he usually falls pretty hard when he does get clipped. But in general, I think it's just his competitiveness and the speed with which he moves to try to cut the ball handler off. It forces the screener to have to stop short.
Flip had probably his best game of the season, and you mentioned him as the X factor. What do you think he did well tonight that you maybe haven't seen during the year so far?
I didn't think he was pressing too much. Flip is somebody who we've talked a lot about in the last year. He's got this pretty broad skill set, and that in different moments can be distracting because there's a lot of different things that he can do, but we want him to keep it pretty simple. We want him to be a ball mover, somebody who helps us create tempo in the full court and the half court by moving the ball and getting to secondary actions. And I thought tonight, like when he had his moments, later in the clock, whether it was a catch and shoot or time to make a play towards the end of the possession, he took advantage of those. Right now, Flip is generally not a primary option when we're calling plays. He's somebody we want to put in the mix because he's a good thinker and makes good decisions. But I thought tonight he let it come to him. There weren't very many plays where I felt like he was forcing it.
What in general have changed defensively for you guys from maybe the last couple of games to what it looked like tonight?
I thought our competitiveness on the ball was way better. We didn't get put in rotations as much. I haven't seen the numbers in terms of the off the dribble threes they took. It felt like they took a bunch of them above the break. But I thought for the most part, we didn't get put in rotations where they were able to play swing. There's moments of breakdowns, but in general, it was the physicality at the point of attack when we're switching. And then everybody doing a better job of understanding who they are and who they're guarding.
When you say it was Walt's best game as a pro, can you elaborate on just what exactly you liked about this game tonight?
I think Walt was a little more assertive getting the ball up the court. Walt he's hard to speed up, which is a good thing in certain moments, but there's times where we need him to play with a little more oomph early in the clock, get the ball down the court a little bit quicker. And then he was obviously solid with the ball. 6 assists and 0 turnovers. When you're a young guard coming off the bench, taking care of the ball is the main priority. I thought he made some good decisions. I thought the strong drive he had to his right hand, I think he finished with his inside hand, there in the fourth quarter was a huge play for us. I just thought he did a better job of kind of turning the dial up a little bit, playing with a little more pop. Helped us create an advantage, was a little more decisive to shoot. There was one play in the first half where the right side in the high quad, he had a catch and shoot that I thought he should have shot and he passed it up. But besides that, we're trying to help free up Walt's brain a little bit. He's trying to be a point guard. He's trying to get Lowry involved. He's trying to do all these things, but he also is a really good shooter. And so we're trying to help him. I'm trying to help him. There's moments where I probably need to back off a little bit and just let Walt play, because I don't want him to think too much. I thought tonight he was just a little more decisive.
How varied have you seen Keonte in the way that he's scoring the ball?
I think we're seeing, again, I haven't seen the numbers, but it feels like, I don't look at the stats on individual players until like the 10th game, to be clear. It feels like he's finishing way better at the rim, playing in straighter lines, not trying to bait for fouls as much. But the free throw line's been a big part of his life this part of the season. But it's because he's not fishing for fouls. He's just using his athleticism and his burst, and he's playing in straight lines. I think it's 16 shots, 5 of them are threes. Maybe you'd want him to shoot 1 or 2 more, but in general, we want Keonte to be somebody who's putting pressure on the rim. I think he's making better reads in the half court. So it's mostly, to me, it's what's happening around the basket is why he's scoring better. He's not settling too much for jumpers.
Bryce of the DMP, I'm just wondering, what is it that you need to see from Bryce?
Yeah, I felt like in tonight's game, individual isolation defense was going to be a huge part of the game. That's how Boston plays in different moments. They play a lot of that small, and they try to put you in space and try to create advantages that way. And it felt like to me that EJ was going to be better suited for this game. But that's, again, where we are as a team. Not every night's going to be your night. And I just felt like EJ kind of brought something a little different to tonight's game.
Thank you.